Hello and welcome to Sovereign RPG. I am Sovereign, and today they've given us the patch notes for tomorrow's update. Now it's going to be a lot longer than your usual one. It's going to be 240 minutes instead of 120 minutes. They've learned from their previous mistakes of actually putting in some changes into the system and then trying to say they bring the server up, but they've raised some issues and they've extended that time. So they've given themselves more than enough time to get this stuff sorted. I'm not going to go over everything that's been changed in these patch notes because I've done a whole video on that shit from the balance changes, because a lot of stuff hasn't changed. I did call that in previous videos. I did call that they won't make any changes, any big significant changes to those balance notes, because their idea behind it is that they're balancing the game now for something that's not going to be coming out till much later, which is the wrong way for me. My opinion on that is just it's a terrible idea to make balance changes for the future and ruin the current settings of the game just for something that hasn't even been released yet. But that's just my opinion on it. I know some people disagree with that and some people agree with that, but that's the beauty of having an opinion. It's your own. So for the optimizations, they've added a 1 million free skill point reset. That should have been a full skill point reset. They shouldn't have had just 1 million, but I guess they do need to make some money somehow. They said that they added this free skill reset to make the game more balanced. The wording is completely and utter bollocks on that. That's not correct at all. And I think this is just a bit of a screw up on their side. As I said, they should have done a full skill point reset for everyone to be able to sort their stuff out, especially with all the changes and stuff that are coming with the release of the new ships, so people can get into that stuff. But as I said, money is money. They do need it. Please remember that this is only valid until May 31st, so make sure to get that done before that. If you don't know what you want to skill into, you can actually just reskill something that you're not using anymore and keep it in the skill point pool. But remember, if you're not Omega Duo, this will not continue to gain you SP. If you're Omega Basic, you'll put that 1 million skill points in there and you won't gain any more if you are not skilling up. So make sure that you're spending those skill points if you are Omega Basic. So they go on to say some of the optimizations. They've added the new ship tree for T10 ships. They've added the reverse engineering for T10 ships and freighters. They've added blueprints of all T10 ships. And there's a change here where the reverse engineering for freighter blueprints, manufacturing, and using freighters has been changed from 10 to 9. So the freighters have been moved down to the current game as we are now for those who are still at the top at T9. So you can start using freighters from tomorrow, which is pretty good change. They did need to do something like that. That is okay. They added delivery hangar info to the history logs of industry jobs, showing which corporation hangar the job was delivered to. Bit of quality of life there. Added engineering rigs to Garista's Inquisitor. Now this is a bit of a weird one. They've changed rigs around from different spots. So I'm just going to go over those real quick, what they've actually changed on there. So it seems from the wording on this, the Garistas are going to be getting hybrid weapon rigs, your rail rigs, for example, structure rigs and engineering rigs. The Sancha's going to get navigation and structure rigs, and the Angels get missile rigs, but lose navigation rigs. So they're kind of messing with the law and the sort of natural order of the universe itself with having certain factions not drop their faction specific rigs. It's kind of confusing to me. I'm not sure why they did that. They've just made Garistas super profitable and then just shat on Angels and boosted Sancha. So like it's a bit of a weird, like Angels was already pretty shitty to begin with, especially with the difficulty of actually running those Angel sites. It's actually more difficult than most of them. And they've just like ruined any money that people made within Angel space. It's kind of a confusing one. They must have reasoning behind it, but I'm not sure what it is personally. So as we know, they've made the pirates stronger defensive wise, so they'll be longer to kill, but the rewards and the combat difficulty of some encounter missions have been adjusted accordingly. So you're going to have less ships in certain things and blah, blah, blah. You'll make more money from bounties, etc. But I am yet to actually test out what those changes are. If it's the same as a test server, then it's not that great. They've added reminders. There's nothing we don't care about. They've added a new sorting option, which allows you to view storyline missions you haven't completed in encounters. That's a good one because it's annoying having to go through them. There was always that little icon there that you can see which ones you've done and which ones you haven't, but having that little bit extra filtering is actually really good quality of life. That's not a problem. They've reduced the cost of logistics containers, distance modifier adjusted from 1 to 0.25 in high sec and from 2 to 1 in low sec. Does that mean that the people that are actually moving the stuff actually make less money as well? I don't know how that works. It doesn't really say anything about that. So if it costs less to set it up, will the person receive less for actually delivering it, which makes it even more useless to be a hauler? Who knows? We'll have to actually wait until that comes out to see that one. The corporation members list will not reset after removing members or configuring positions. That's a good one because when I was running corporations before, this was the most annoying aspect of actually running the corporation, was that thing resetting every time you either kicked someone or appointed someone or made someone an officer. It just, when you were trying to do multiple things at once, you had to keep restarting and resetting that filtering at the top. Just bloody annoying. They updated the estimated prices. We all know what that is. They do that every week. They've added proper resources for capital ship components. I don't know what that means. Maybe one of you indie guys can let me know what that means down below. Not a feckin' Scooby-Doo. They've added the icon for capital ships, which will be freighters, and only freighters currently, unless the freighters have their own individual icon. They've added all the capital ship stuff for the future for when those dreadnoughts get released later on. They added the command burst and the blueprints and blah, blah, blah. And the burst related skills, the scout box drops, the command bursts are being added to scouts. So scouts will now, for a very limited amount of time, likely until it gets flooded on the market, will be very profitable right at the beginning. So make sure to grab those scouts straight away if you can. You'll be able to make some decent money from it. Now we go into the ship adjustments. Now there's some fucking shit in here. Like, I saw some suggestions in the suggestions channel, and I was like, yeah, look, faction battleships are already pretty damn decent, like, in general. Yes, they're expensive. Yes, they're niche, and a lot of people won't use them because of how much they cost, how much it costs to make them, etc. But then someone was saying they need to make them stronger because of the amount it costs, which I can kind of agree with. Not completely agree, because honestly, they're already pretty damn strong. But what you're seeing here in these ship adjustments is absolutely fucking insane. The Balgorn by itself is a disgusting buff to that ship. The Balgorn is already redonkulous in general. Not to mention that they've buffed laser damage and laser tracking like in general on the actual weapon modules. They've also upped the large laser beam damage on the Balgorn itself, like bonus damage through the damn roof. The Nightmare, it doesn't really matter on, because the Nightmare is just a tank anyway. So like, you're not going to be running around solo and shit in that. It doesn't matter. The Balgorn, on the other hand, is redonkulous. Like the Balgorn is going to be stupidly strong now. They added all bonuses to the damage of the faction battleships themselves. They added damage bonus for the Rattlesnake, for the missiles and the drones. They increased the shield armor and hull of the Blood Raider, Angel, Serpetis, Sancha, and Garista ships by 10%. So that could be frigates, cruisers, and battleships that will be getting that bonus, because it doesn't specifically say it's just faction battleships. Let me know down below what you think of the faction battleship changes. Were they needed? Were they needed to be made that strong? I mean, the Balgorn's going to be disgusting now, especially coupled with the bonuses of laser damage. It's going to be pretty damn nasty. A lot of the other changes here are basically the same as the balance changes before. Remember, I will leave a link for the video on the balance changes in the description. You can sort of watch this video, then move on to that video and see all the stuff that I'm going to be missing out in this video, because I don't want this video to be 40 minutes long explaining stuff that I've already explained in the past. It's kind of pointless. So go and watch that video if you want to see all of the changes that we're going to be going through. So they've slightly reduced the capacitor of the Dominics, which is okay. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference whatsoever bloody ever. It's still got shitloads. But they have, it seems, I can't find it in here, taking away the nerf from the Dominics. So a lot of people are going to be happy with that. There's going to be no damage nerf to the Dominics now anymore. It is not on here. I've tried to find it. It is not there. That's one of the big major changes that they must have listened to, because a lot of people complained about that shit. Heavy interdictors have still been nerfed. The interdictors have all been nerfed from 2 to 2 slots, from 4 slots, and blah, blah, blah. So the destroyers are still shit. They've added like everything on here that you're seeing on here. Nothing has really changed. One thing that has changed, which is quite big, which I'm kind of happy with, although I do believe they should have both of them. They've swapped deleting the Maelstrom, the standard original Maelstrom, and they've deleted the Maelstrom Striker instead this time. Now, this could be a sort of typo. It might be that they've not changed that at all. Who knows? But the Maelstrom is a brawler. It's a very tanky brawler. It's good for that sort of thing. Having the striker mechanic on the Maelstrom is kind of pointless in my opinion, because it makes it more long range, and then there's no point in having the double reppers and the repper bonus. So for me, it kind of makes sense that they don't have the Maelstrom striker, but I don't see why they couldn't just have both of them. Have the original Maelstrom drop to T9 and have the Maelstrom striker at T10. That shouldn't have been an issue anyway. Like, it makes really no difference. The Raven Striker has been given a little bit more of a bonus to the damage, an extra 2%. Not that big of a big deal. Again, they haven't looked at the core mechanics of why missiles are shit, especially in the large variety. So they obviously haven't listened to that feedback whatso goddamn ever. They changed the Abaddon bonus skill from large beam operation to advanced of both of them. There's a bit of a typo in there, but I'm not going to go into complaining about the typos because there's shitloads of them in here. It doesn't really matter. So they're all beam lasers and Railguns deal 10% more damage. The Abaddon's going to be fucking nasty. Apox Striker's still going to be more powered than most of the other ships because of the actual bonus that they're giving to lasers themselves. They've given missiles, cannons, and decomposers an extra 4% damage. So I don't know, lasers are just so powerful to me. They always have been powerful to me. There's not much that's been changed on that fact. Everything else here is pretty much the same that have been done there. They do tell you that they've added the hybrid rigs and structure rigs, as I said earlier, to the Guristas Inquisitor. They added navigation and structure rigs to Sancha, added missile rigs to Angel Inquisitor, removed navigation rigs from Angel Inquisitor. 0 cents. Keep the navigation rigs there. It keeps it lore friendly, even though I know most of you guys don't give a shit about that. I kind of do personally. But here's quite a big one that I wanted to go into a little bit of detail into this because it makes no sense to me. If you look at number 9, on this changes, you've got enhancements that have been made to some of the Dead Space modules. What enhancements were made to some of the Dead Space modules? What modules were changed? What modules were buffed? Like, for instance, if they've added damage to some of the laser modules, it's going to even further push the Apocalypse Striker ahead, and the Abaddon's going to be pretty damn nasty with beam lasers. Have they nerfed some of the Dead Space modules? Have they buffed them? It just makes no sense. Like, literally, there is no information given there. One of the highest meta items that we currently have has had enhancements to it, and we're not told what enhancements have been made to those Dead Space modules. So we're going to have to go on a treasure hunt, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have to jump in there and find out what that is. Let me know down below when the thing goes live. So now there's skin changes, which no one really cares about. I don't personally anyway. So the bug fixes they fixed an issue where the corporations wouldn't receive notices from their alliance, etc. blah, blah, blah. Adjusted the turret hardpoint of stealth bombers and fixed the issue where the model of the large torpedoes would pass through the ship. It's nice to look at my ship now without having those giant bloody things protruding through it. Modified the way damage is calculated for armor link modules. Now it'll be calculated separately based on each ship's own resistance. It's the same as it was before. They just fixed the bugs, so the armor has not really been changed. Large armor's still going to suck. The armor links are still going to suck. No changes were made on there. They didn't look at that feedback at all. They fixed an issue where some of the modules were not taking effect on NPC enemies, including but not limited to resistant modules, shield extenders, blah, 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 to make the actual rats themselves harder to kill. And that's basically all we have for today. If there's anything I did miss in here, because there's quite a long list, we did compare the two lists from before, and I called out most of the stuff that we actually have on here that has changed. But if I did miss something, it happens. I'm only human. Let me know down below so you can help the guys out who are actually watching the video to know that there's some stuff that I did miss on there. Right, so that's all we have for today. Remember to like and sub if you haven't already. This is your one-stop shop for Eve Echoes content. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams. I want to say a huge thank you to all my patrons. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to continue doing what I'm doing. If you'd like to find out how to become a patron and how to get early access to my content, please look down in the description. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams.